3. Through. G'day guys, I always find it quite interesting watching the dynamic between all the different personalities when we're doing the toys in the field. And so usually you just manage the situation, and you know, there's a few cheeky troublemakers in the group, and there's a couple that are just trying to play the game and minding their own business. So I don't do it that often. Usually I'm a lot more on top of everyone and managing them, but every now and again I just give them a little bit of rope, and they start to see that I'm not interrupting, and they get a bit more boisterous, and those ones that I'm looking out for, they either step up and start hassling the other dogs, which just confirms they're the ones I need to manage, or other dogs like Abra, for example, is doing quite well, knows she shouldn't be doing what I've been pulling her up on, and doesn't continue to do it just because I'm not, just because she doesn't feel like I'm on her case the whole time. So there's some positives in it, and also a couple of new faces that have reared their head for me to start watching out for. So one of the interactions that I'm watching that I find quite interesting is when one of the dogs gets the toy, i.e. Matilda. She's very fast, very coordinated, very capable, and then you'll see all the other dogs trying to take it out of her mouth. Same with Moose. Moose gets it, all the other dogs, hey, Moose! Moose! Come on, out of there. I was chasing something through the grass. Hope it was a little mouse. Good boy, mate. Not the season to go chasing through the long grass, mate. If Moose gets the toy, it's the same thing. You see Tank, he's right in there. He's trying to snatch it out of his mouth. There's no respect given, and there's no there's no authority projected by either Moose or Matilda. Matilda just relies on her ability, her coordination, her speed, and just avoids everyone. But then you get a dog like Fredo or Tilly that gets the toy. All of a sudden there's a lot more respect shown to those dogs from the pack, and that's the rest of the pack members acknowledging and respecting and valuing their position in the pack. With Tilly, she's a taskmaster. She definitely throws her weight around and nobody wants a piece of it. Abra started to challenge her a few months back, but I stepped in and didn't let her have it. Tilly is an Australian cattle dog. They are tough as nails. They are just so fearless. The way that they are a lot more intense than most other dogs, Abra excluded. They don't care about personal injury. They're not going into anything with any sort of hesitation of, oh, this might hurt. I might not come out okay at the other end of this. They don't think about that at all. And the biggest problem that I have is trying to keep Tilly calm in her old age. You would have thought that being run over by a bus at 1 year old would have taught her not to chase tyres, but as we know, she's done it every time she's had the opportunity since. And this is what, 8 years on now. We've had Tilly for about 5 years now, and she has always wanted to chase those tyres. She doesn't care. She's like, I'll take another beating. I'm going to get that tyre. And that's the same attitude she projects into the rest of the pack. And everyone bar Abra just goes, you're crazy, I don't want anything to do with that. How are you gonna win? How are you gonna win against a dog that just goes, I don't care if I got 3 broken legs, I'm still coming after you, you know? Everyone recognises that and just goes, I'm out. You win. Now the other one is Fredo. Now Fredo's a little bit more, he's a little bit more vocal than Tilly is physical. Up to a certain point. So Fredo uses his size, uses his demeanour, really approaches any sort of confrontation head on, and he really can't stand cheeky dogs that want to take cheap shots. And one of those big names on Fredo's list is Hope. So Fredo, when he does lay down the law, he doesn't cause any damage. He's not actually biting. There's a lot of open mouth and a lot of vocal growling. But you see when he does it to Tank, and Tank just lets him do it. Tank's got his whole head in Fredo's mouth, and Fredo's got all teeth, lots of noise, but he's not clamping down. He's just communicating. Now, cheeky little Miss Hope, she just thinks that Fredo has no bite strength, and so she fights back, and she plays that cheeky game of, oh well, if you're going to bite me, it doesn't hurt. And so then Fredo starts to escalate, and what he's trying to do is knock Hope off her feet, and then he'll just collapse on top of her with his chest, and he'll sit there spinning on her chest, barking, not letting her get up, but just sort of barking as if to show physical dominance without inflicting injury. So once we discovered about Fredo that that's what he does when we're talking about managing the pack, we started to give him a little bit more breathing room to establish that kind of rule. And most of the dogs are all very respectful. Hope, not so much. She knows she's fast. She knows she can duck and weave and get away from him. And very rarely does he actually corner her to a point where he can enforce that rule. So there's a little bit of ongoing tension there between those two, but it's not much to be concerned about because we know Fredo doesn't cause damage. Now, if you have a look at Tanky Boy there, all he does is sit there and whines like, come on Dad, take the ball off Fredo so we can all play. Whereas if Matilda had it, he'd be on there trying to get it. The other one I want to talk about is Miss Red. And in this instance, it's Miss Red on Hope. Now, Miss Red's an interesting one. She's relatively new to this laying down the law in inverted commas style behaviour. She's always been a puppy in the eyes of most of the pack, and it's only been a few times that we start to see her show this behaviour. Now, it's not a very honest way to go about it. Fredo is very direct. He's very clear. This is what I'm enforcing. Miss Red, on the other hand, hello darling, that's you. Miss Red, on the other hand, she gives off, I'm your friend, let me lick your face, little nip to the face. So it's like, well, hold on, then she'll lick. She gets that behaviour from her mum. Shadow's a big one at doing that. Miss Red's a little bit more subtle in, it's not that obvious, but she'll just continually do it. And out of every 10 or 15 licks, there's a little nip. And so the dogs kind of don't know how to handle it because it's not a real direct form of communication. And half the time, you can see them kind of taken aback, but then they're still getting licked. And it's like, oh, was that an accidental nip? So she's not very effective at doing what she's trying to do. But the interesting part is that she's picking, in my opinion, the right dogs to do it to. She doesn't do it that often, but she does seem to feed off Fredo's energy. And as soon as Fredo had a little bit of a standoff with Hope, Miss Red's nowhere to be seen. That's way too intense for her to be involved in. But once Fredo's finished, that's when Miss Red comes in. She just comes out of nowhere. Hope's running away on, oh, yep, sweet. I got rid of him, I lost him. And then there's Miss Red jockeying her every move. Every time she turns, Miss Red, lick, nip, lick, nip. So it's almost like the big boss is gone, hey, pull your head in. And then, you know, turn to his henchman. Righto, make sure she doesn't do that again. Right, come with me. We're doing push-ups, you know, like it's a sliding scale. But the interesting thing is Miss Red doesn't have any rank as far as the rest of the pack's concerned. So who knows, as she matures, that might change. If she learns to communicate a little bit more directly. The thing is, she's quite a small dog, so she's never going to really be that, you know, she doesn't have that presence, that physical presence that Fredo uses and Roscoe uses. They just use their size and strength to show, hey, I'm big and I'm strong. Unfortunately for her breed, Miss Red, her strength is in her intensity when she goes full steam ahead, which would be quite significant. So she's kind of playing, testing the field, trying to figure out what to do here. The other side of it is I don't see her going up to Fredo straight away afterwards to check, did I do the right thing? Am I, you know, and so she's not checking back in and looking to Fredo for that approval. It would help her skyrocket up the ranks in Fredo's eyes, which in turn everyone else would accept if she did that. So it's just something to keep an eye on. It's something that I'm just noticing that I need to evaluate and assess a little bit more. Because if it is something that she's just trying to win brownie points, then you can allow it based on the fact that I'm allowing Fredo that little bit of room, and if she's feeding off Fredo, then it's going to be a good decision. But if she's doing it off her own back and she's just picking fights, so to speak, then that's something I'm definitely going to have to eliminate. Interesting though, interesting. I'm hoping it's the first of the two. I'm hoping that she is just feeding off the rest of the pack, and she's the other one. So during that session, I noticed Kyla is one that I'm definitely going to have to jump in on a little bit more. So she's not fast enough to compete at the front yet, so she grabbed a hold of Choppy's butt, and Chopper's got a reactive nerve, you know, as sensitive as a fly trigger. It obviously wasn't a big bite, but any sort of nip to Choppy and he jumps 10 feet. What was the other one? Joey. Joey's not one to watch, but during that I saw Joey being reactive, and I was like, oh, okay. Joey doesn't pick on anyone. Joey doesn't pick fights. She doesn't pick on any dog. She's after the game. She wants to win at whatever's going on. So for her to be reactive means someone's taking cheap shots at her, and so she was turning around and showing teeth to Banjo, and Banjo would just sort of come over and look at her, and she went for him again as if to say, cut this out. Now this is a similar thing to Fredo. Joey doesn't push her weight around without reason, and so I start to watch Banjo, and sure enough, Banjo is taking cheap shots at Joey's tail as she's running along. Never takes her on front on, even though he's a big dog and he could take on most of the pack. He's just cheeky. He's just a dog that likes to take easy shots and then have no confrontation when they turn and face him. It's a difficult one because he's quiet. You know, I can only really see it if it happens right in front of me, or if in this case when Joey reacts and then start to bring my attention up to it. Banjo's one that I have been working on for a while because he is a young, big, strong dog that is a little bit too intense to give him any rope or give him any space to act on what his instincts are telling him. So he's one that I definitely have to watch. He loves chasing Joey. Joey is a favourite of his, but we work quite hard on not making contact with her whenever we're on the quad runs or the motorbike run or with the Ranger. But he's thinking, well, maybe I can do it while we're chasing the toy. And that's something that I've got to work on as well. So out of these exercises, it wasn't really an exercise, it's just throwing the toy without any sort of guidance or management on my end. It shows me what's going on in their head. I can sit there and throw toys and tell the dogs that I know are going to be cheeky to cut it out or behave, and then it makes them feel like, okay, he's watching me, I'm not going to do what I want to do. And it gives me a false sense of they're all behaving and they mean well. When I don't say anything to them, I throw the toy a couple of times, I don't interrupt at all, you can see them start to get a bit, okay. and the ones that are cheeky, they'll step up and start behaving a little bit more dramatically, and that's what I want to see. So from this, the take home is Abra is advancing and maturing. You don't have to focus on her too much more or as much as I have been during the toy throwing. Banjo on the radar. Misread. Not really to do with the toy throwing, but next time there's any sort of Fredo laying the law down with whoever, assess how Miss Red takes that afterwards, what she does after Fredo has made known to everyone, I'm not happy with this. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. Joey's as reliable as anything, you know. She everything about her out in the field here is work. The only time that Joey is gonna do something behind my back and she knows I don't want her to do it, that's when she's in the house, and when she's in the house with Sam. If she knows I've walked outside to take something to the bins, that's it. That's her chance. She's like, okay, there's food on the bench, I'm gonna go and eat it. That's the only time. Out here, it's all business. In the house, all bets are off. Auntie Sam's on the case, and according to Joey, she's a pushover. No offense, Auntie Sam, I didn't say that. That was Joey. Joey said that. Shadow. Didn't really have too much to do with that, but what I'm working on with Shadow is her desire to raise the intensity. We're just throwing a toy. As soon as the intensity builds up while I'm holding it and about to throw, and once I throw it and the dog gets it, there's only a couple of dogs that usually chase them around, the rest of the dogs settle down. That's where Shadow wants to keep that energy high, and she starts barking. So that's a call to arms, or you know, trying to rally the troops. She's like, yeah, let's keep that intensity going. And so that's where I'm focusing on her, telling her to stand down or lower the intensity. There's nothing to be intense about right now. So yes, you can get excited about throwing the toy. Once there's no more excitement there, or the other dogs have got it, settle it down until I decide to throw it again, if at all. Through. Good dog. Abra. Good girl.